Today we're going to turn my perfect fit tubes into a snap fit rocket. So let's get cracking. Our project starts at Tinkercad.com. It is 100% free and everything is stored online. If we click over here on designs, you can see I do create a bunch of projects. We started this project last week. It was called Fun Rocket. And the idea of the project was to make perfect fit tubes. To re-enter a project, you simply choose Tinker This. If you missed this tutorial, I've got a bit.ly up here that shows you how to get it, or you can find it in the video's cards. I'm going to use V, which is for view, and we can hide this part real quickly. I'm also going to set my background back to white so you can see a little better. And I'm also going to turn on the grid and the shadows. This is how it looks when we build in Tinkercad. I did the other part just for a custom version. And then I'm zooming in on this corner to show you how I trimmed off a tiny bit of this cylinder using the sketch tool. You can see that tiny hole actually trims this so that we get a better fit. When I click outside, the edit finishes, and that was how we made these tubes that fit. Now I'm going to quickly hit show all to bring back all the pieces. These were created afterwards just for fun. I'm going to quickly use V for visibility. I'm going to hide this tube, and you can see that these were not attached. They were just sitting here. We're going to start by backing out because I do not want to break this rocket. And then from here, I can simply hit the gear, and I can duplicate it. I'm going to start by changing the name. This will be printable. And let me show you my idea for attaching fins. So here's how we're going to get this ready for printing. We need a connector. I'm not going to print these with the fins on. If we hit T for transparent, you can see I've got them sticking in a little bit. I'm going to make one fin and connector and then move it to all the other spots. So I'm going to delete those, but I'm going to leave this one here for later. I do want to unbundle it. I want to trim this first, so we're going to do Control D. We're going to make the second one a hole. We're going to shift select that hole. We can see it's a hole here and the fin, and when we do Control G, it groups. Now we do notice that it was not hanging down quite far enough. We're going to fix that by double-clicking our edit. Notice I've got the solid, so I'm going to hide it. Now I'm going to click the hole again. If I do Control down, it sinks down, and then when I cut, I've got the exact curve that I want. I'm going to do show all to bring back our tube. Now we're going to draw our connector with sketch. When you bring sketch out, I want to put it in a 20 by 20 grid off the tube. So I'm just lining it up right there. I've got the center on the center line. When we zoom out, you can see that gets us to the exact center of our project. And of course, that was all based on the original tube fit project. We're going to build this connector from the center. It's super simple. Let's switch our nudge to 0.5. That just lets us keep it centered nice and easily. I'm going to go up 0.5. I'm going to go out into the shape. I'm going to come back down a whole millimeter. I'm going to come back to where it connected, and then I'm going to finish that rectangle. I'm going to double click to make that part permanent. I'm going to set my nudge to 0.1. So that way we can see right here would be on it. This is 0.1 millimeters away. And I'm just going to click and move up this way. And notice I'm going out about 1.5, 2, somewhere out there. Pressing number 2, 1/10 of a millimeter mark again. Now I can click out here and make this twist. Once again, because it's a curve, I can click, hold, and adjust. And then I want to go back the other way. I'm just getting close. So see how this is 2.2. So if I go out here about 4, that'll probably be the same. Then I'm going to click and twist. And then I want to come back and finish somewhere close. And then I'm finally going to connect the shape. If I double click, now we can edit these. This one right here is called a smooth curve. If I hit number 3, it becomes broken and I can adjust them independently. I've got this one up near that edge. Now I can adjust this down until it follows it the way I want. Same thing back here. I want to hit 3 to break those. And I'm just going to twist this so the connector looks reasonably nice. Once again, 3, and I'm sliding that down so it's closer to that 1/10. And then we can also nudge these with your arrow keys. Notice if you shut this to off, it goes hundredths instead of tenths, which lets you get even more precise. You can also do the same thing with the handles. Notice by clicking, it can let you be a lot more precise. I don't really care what's happening here, but I'm going to hit number 1 just to show you that you can turn it into a line. When we hit finish sketch, we have that quickly built the connector that's going to hold this together. We're going to also use this to make the hole. Check this out, Control D. Turn that one into a hole. Choose Edit. And then on this one, we can delete this piece completely, and we're going to take this one and just make it a 1/10 larger on each side. So double click, click on the side, make sure you've got it set to the 1/10, and nudge it up 1, and nudge it down 1. Now this is where, as you learn your printer, you can adjust this fit even more. If you want it to be less than that 1/10 on each side, don't forget you can go to off and you can go back the same way. So I'm going to take away 1/100th and take away 1/100th. When I hit finish sketch, we've now got the connector and we've got the part that we're going to use to cut it out. I'm going to tell you to take this one and change the height to 20. And then I'm going to tell you to take this one, set your nudge to 5 millimeters, and do Control up to raise it to the height where it's actually going to be. Let's use the brand new visibility tool. Click V, and we want to hide this part. And I'm also going to hide the hole. Now when I click out here, those are the only 2 parts left. I can select them and do Control G to group them. I'm going to move this over here. To make this easier to see, I'm going to make this one green. So now I can grab this one and do Control D, Shift nudge to flip it. Notice it moved super fast because of our 5 millimeter nudge. I'm going to put that back to 1, and I'm going to do M to mirror. I want to flip it this way. Now I can select these 2 parts, choose L for align, and we want this fin's back corner to be the boss. Notice you can see where the green was trimmed off, so this fits. If we do show all, we can now click this hole, do Control D, and then do Shift nudge to get it to the left where we want it. And we need to make sure that it is poking through the blue part. It doesn't have to be any more precise than that. Let's use V again to hide these 2 parts and click outside. Notice this would not have cut all the way through, so we just got to go 1 more click. Now remember, we do want 4 of these, so grab these 2, do Control D. Notice I changed the angle so I could see this a little better, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Remember, if you hold down Shift, it goes 45 degrees per click. Now we can grab all of those parts, 5 shapes, and do Control G to group. I'm going to click on this one, hit the letter T, and shut off transparency, and bang, we have got fins that are ready to slide in after printing. I'm going to Shift select those 2. I'm going to do Control D, and I'm going to rotate them 90 degrees just because it looks kind of cool. That's it, rocket built and ready to print. I am going to make one more modification. I don't like how thin this is. I can simply double click to edit that sketch. Move down here to the bottom, and when I double click, I can click on that line, and if I do nudge, I can move it down to whatever thickness I want to keep my nose cone attached. Now let's get it exported for 3D printing. I'm going to do Shift nudge to move this over, and I'm going to do D to drop. Same thing for this one. Shift nudge, D to drop. I'm going to take a fin, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to move it over here so it's ready. And I'm going to take these parts. Notice they weren't grouped, so I'm going to grab them and do Control G to group. And I'm going to do D to drop them as well. To speed up the process, I'm going to print these on separate printers. So I'm going to also export them as separate shapes. Click a shape, selected shape, choose STL. I'm going to put them in my 3D modeling folder, and I'm going to call this one the base. And hit save. I'm going to call this one the body tube. It'll be the nose. And then finally, we'll export the fin. All right, so let's bounce to Bambu Lab Studio, create a brand new project. I'm going to print the fins over here. If I bring in the fin, it is probably the trickiest, even though the other ones are thin. I could print it like this with raft and supports, but instead I'm going to use the suite, lay flat on face. I'm going to switch to a triangular facet because I want this edge right here. I'll show you if we do the convex hull, It lets us get kind of close to that edge, but I really want it closer. So I'm going to switch to the facet and I'm going to get as close as I can to dead center. I'm going to pick that spot right there. And then I'm going to make sure I turn on raft. I'm going to put on 5 layers. And with that raft in place, let's slice the plate. Notice it's only going to take 16 minutes. And let's print the plate. Notice I'm only printing one because I want to make sure it works before I move on to more fins. All right, here's a fun one. I'm going to back up just to show you since this is done. When we clone it so that it's all 4, and I'm going to quickly click on auto arrange and rotate. That sets it up in the smartest way. If we plate, check it out. It's actually about the same time to do all 4 as it was to do the single one. I'm going to set up the body tube on the Artillery X4 Pro. I'm using Orca to slice for this one. Of course, new project, and since they're based on each other, they look the same. Let's click add. And here is the base of our rocket. Still 0.2 standard. Now the one thing I want to adjust with this is under other, I do want to add a brim. These are so thin at 1.2 millimeters. I just want to make sure they attach. I'm going to do outer and inner, and I'm going to set it at 5 millimeters. Once again, when we slice the plate, we are looking at a 37-minute print. And about 15 minutes later, we got a part. I can't even snap it off. It just comes off like that. Let's go test it. All right, so here we are. This is our rocket body tube and the nose cone. Those all slide together great. As you can see, the fins come out just like this. Once again, printed on several printers. So you can see these are the ones I just did on the P1S. They stick in just like the other ones, just for fun. I'm gonna make it a combo project, so it's got fins from everywhere. Now I do want to show you this. The original body tube is too loose. See how it just comes off? So I went back and instead of subtracting like we did here, I added a 100th on the inside of this because this one prints faster than this one did. As you can see, that one sticks on just like it was supposed to, and then this one sticks in as well. So of course the whole project was about getting the proper fit, which as you can see, we have. I do want to quickly show you how easy it was to modify this to make it thicker. Once again, Control D so I don't break my original. I'm going to do T to shut off transparency. I'm going to do Control D again to make the part that is thicker, and I'm going to make it blue just so it's easier for you to see what I'm doing here. I want to change this one to a height of 10 because that's how far these all attached. And then when I hit Edit Sketch, I'm simply going to click on that part and I'm going to change it to that center line again. I'm going to change it to 0.1 again. And when I click outside, check this out. It is going to be a 1/10 of a millimeter thicker on the inside of the print. I needed to do that at both ends, so I'm just going to click in here and grab that, do Control D, Control Shift up until it's at the top. Once that was exported, I printed the part again, and it was just thick enough so that we had the fit we needed. How cool is that? So let's wrap up quickly. First, I want to say thank you to Steven for the project. He posted this in my Patreon messaging area. It was a fantastic question. Of course, you can learn more by checking that bit.ly up above. Of course, there's a ton of room for you to modify this. I gave you a technique. Now you can make any sort of rocket you want, and you can use it for other designs. If you're making a curvy shape in Sketch, you can also do that same outer line. I've got lots of tutorials about this with clicky fidgets and other projects. You really should check them out. I do also want to say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Also, make sure you pay attention to the members only post. A massive shout out as well to everybody that supports me via Patreon. We are almost up to 400 members. It has a fantastic messaging area. You can ask questions, post designs, gain skills. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below, or click subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.